I'm Tobias, and these are my 10 essentials for living full-time in a teardrop camper. So my first essential is this pressure cooker. It's made by Kuhn Rikon. It was very expensive, but when I buy something, I try not to buy, but when I buy something, I try to make sure that it has a very specific function, and I try to buy at the top of the market. And that's just so that I know what I have works well, it's durable, and when it's time to sell it again, I can get a good price for it. I use it with the hot plate that my great friend Abisko gave to me when he found out I was going on this trip. So hey, shout outs to Arada. You might think this is pretty small for a pressure cooker, and that's true. However, since it's just the two of us, I'm able to make plenty of food and have leftovers for like at least 1 or 2 meals afterwards. And another advantage of this pressure cooker being so small is that it's meant to be used as a frying pan as well. The bottom of this is really thick, it's copper plated, so it holds the heat really well. And it's even got these little like scalloped ridges here to help sear your meat and make sure everything lifts off so it cleans really easily as well. And because it's really small, it comes to pressure really quickly. It's got a minimum of moving parts. Basically, this little tab here on top lifts up to 1 red stripe for low pressure and 2 red stripes for high pressure. And then if the pressure builds beyond that, it's got built-in automatic releases to let out the steam. So overall, this is really well thought out. It's compact. Most days, it's basically the only cooking appliance that I will use. My next essential is this knife. When we first started off in a teardrop, I had a knife roll with like 5 or 6 knives in it. They were like really high-end knives from like Shun and whatever. I only really ended up using like 1 or 2 of them, and it just took up so much space as well. So I decided I was only gonna come back out with a single knife, and this is the one that I picked, and I haven't regretted it for a moment. So this knife is made by the company Dalstrang. A lot of other companies like Shun make this knife as well, and they'll usually advertise it either as a scalloped knife or a sandwich knife. Not only is it a knife you can use for cutting, but it's got these ridges, which makes it really good for cutting bread as well. And then when you're done cutting your bread, you can just dip this flat end into your mayonnaise or mustard or whatever and spread it on your sandwich. So this knife is meant to do it all for a sandwich, but I found out that it really does it all for everything. Tomatoes, no problem, doesn't squish them at all. Zucchini, I've cut through like 3 pounds of beef chuck, and this thing just goes through it like butter. After I'm done prepping the vegetables and meat or whatever, if I need to scoop in like some butter, I can just wipe this off, dip it in there, get a big sploosh of it, put it in the pan, wipe it off again, and I'm good to go. And it's not sharp when you're pressing it down against you, so it's quite safe. It's just awesome. So my next essential is this spork set. It's called Gerber ComplEAT. Ever since I've started like camping and hiking a lot, I've been kind of like a titanium spork fanatic. I would always lose them though and just buy another one. I was never really like truly satisfied with any of them, but I think I've finally found the perfect one. You got the spatula in the front, and everything else just kind of slides up and out of it and like separates. So first up, you got the spatula. It's got a really nice silicone edge on this one side, and on the other side it's got a serrated edge because it's supposed to be like the knife of the set, and it does work well if you're cutting bread or vegetables, but you're not really going to be able to cut meat with this, but it's still really nice to have. And because it's really rigid, after I'm done cooking, I can use it to scrape the gunk off the pan really well and it holds its shape. It's not like a floppy spatula. So this is really nice to have. And then behind it, you got a spork. This is a really good spork. The spoon part of it is really deep, and then the prongs for the actual fork part are quite long as well. So it functions very, very well as both a spoon and a fork. And then it comes with an actual spoon as well. So you can use this for serving, use this for eating, use this for cooking, and you're all set. The spork and spoon are actually really high quality. I know this because I've used this to roast meat over a fire. So basically I just had it arranged like this and stuck into a piece of baton wood, and I would hold it kind of as a spit over the fire for like a whole night, and you can see there's no discoloration at all on the titanium. There's no warping. Everything is in pristine shape. It still looks like the day that I bought them. And then to round out the kit, it has this other little tool. It's got a can opener, a bottle opener, and a vegetable peeler. So nothing that you don't need. It's like a very intentional set, and when you're done with it, you just slide it into the back and you're done. It weighs almost nothing. You can just tuck it anywhere. Highly recommend this. All right, my next essential is kind of like a gimmick, but I love it. It's basically this spray bottle. It's made by a company called Aquabot. Basically all it is on top you have this cap that's basically like a pump slash spray bottle, and then on the bottom is a standard Nalgene bottle, meaning that you can take this top off and screw it onto any other Nalgene bottle you have and you're good to go. You see that there's almost no water in it. However, the awesome thing about this is that it uses a minimum amount of water. So even though there's almost no water in here, I can keep the water stream coming for a really long time. Like Destiny has used it to shower before. I use it to clean off my dogs, to give my dog baths. I use it to wash dishes. The spray itself is quite high powered, so I can use it to get mud off of my shoes. All right, so for my next essential, I'm actually wearing it right now. These are a pair of tights that are made by the company Fjällraven, which basically means Arctic Fox. It's a really cool company. They care a lot about sustainability and they make really high quality clothing. Like, these tights are awesome. They're super breathable, very comfortable. They're warm in cold weather. They're very cool when it's hot outside. And I have like excellent range of motion through them. You're basically wearing a pair of sweatpants that are very durable that you can go hiking in. And it's even got like these like chafe patches, I guess, that are sewn on to the knees and to your butt. So you can sit wherever you need, or if you need to kneel down, it's not gonna rip up your pants. And because these are the guy versions, the tights only come up past your thigh. And then beyond that, it's almost like a loose slack material, almost like you're wearing a pair of shorts. So, you know, it gives your boys some room to breathe. It's got a nice zipper. It's also got plenty of pockets about it. That's one of my favorite things about it, because like these pockets seem small, but I have a Pixel XL, so this is quite a large phone, and I usually fit into this pocket with no problems. And this is actually better than tights that have like a lot of storage space, because it keeps it from, how's it going? Because it keeps it from flopping around as you're walking. So, you know, like the big cargo pants where you're walking and then like your pockets are just filled with things and just sloshing around. But with these tights, it keeps everything really close to you. So you have a really low profile for when you're scrambling up rocks. I can't say enough good things about them. And the best thing is I've had them for over a year already. I wear them all the time. They wash really well. They don't take up lint like some other tights might do. And they still basically look brand new, like they're fresh off the rack. Like even these leather accents on it look brand new, despite me having washed them like dozens of times. So these are an extremely durable pair of pants. And yeah, I wear them for everything. They're just awesome. I'm gonna introduce you guys to the best pair of shoes that I have ever bought. So these are the Merrell Wilderness. The Merrell Wilderness is basically like Merrell's like highest end hiking shoe. It's like full grain leather that's handcrafted. It's got a fantastic welt on it, really high-end soles. Everything about the shoe is just so meticulously done. Like, this is a shoe that's not made in a factory. It was made by hand with somebody with a lot of pride in their craft, and that's what I love so much about it. So this is the Merrell Wilderness in suede. You guys might think it's a little weird that I bought a suede pair of shoes to go hiking, and I feel the same way. Like, I originally bought these shoes because I thought they looked really good. They were never meant to really do anything outside of the city, but I've owned them for almost 3 years already, and I found out that they're actually extremely durable. I wear these all the time. When I was in Kuwait for a year, I wore these every other day for an entire year in like 130-degree heat. These things have been covered in mud, covered in water, you know, completely soaked, rained on, covered in all kinds of gunk, and I just clean them off. It's also got a great welt on it. I forget the name of the welt. I don't think it's a Norwegian welt. But basically this means that like whenever this wears out, the sole of the shoe wears out, you can just take it to a cobbler or send it back to Merrell and they'll put a new sole on them. These have really good Vibram soles. You can see that it's got a lot of grip on the bottom. I've had them for almost 3 years again, and there's still plenty of tooth on these things. In another 2 or 3 years, they might wear down enough to where I have to send it back to the factory. But for right now, they're holding up really well. You might notice some discoloration here, and that's because I bought a pair of raw denim that I decided to just wear over these things. That was not a good idea. So this was my fault. But other than that, the shoes, they look flawless. They're beautiful shoes. They hold up really, really well. And one of the best things about them is that like my feet typically tend to smell kind of bad whenever I wear boots all day, but these never smell bad for any reason. It's like some magical property they have. So yeah, these are the perfect shoes. What I have here is a dog mat. On the outside, it's like, kind of like a plastic, maybe polyurethane. On the inside, it's foam. It does stay cool in the sun. That's originally what we got it for. But ever since, we found so many uses for this. Like, there's so many things that you can do with this. If we go to Starbucks to use the internet, we have like a nice spot for our dogs to lay. If I'm working on my car, or we're just setting up for a picnic on the dirty ground, I can just throw this down and it's like a cushioned place to lay. You can use this as a footprint for your tent. If I ever need like just a dry spot on wet ground to be able to dry some towels or lay some stuff out, like if you're creative, there's like an endless amount of ways you can use this. And this is better than like a picnic cloth because you don't have to wash it. It's completely waterproof. And when it does get dirty, all you gotta do is just wipe it off with your hand. And the dust just comes right off. And then it's like brand new afterwards. My next essential. These are microfiber towels. This seems kind of like a stupid item to have in as essential, but like these probably take priority over most of the things on this list. There's just so many things that you can do with a good microfiber towel. You know, I use this to dry myself, dry my dogs, clean them when they're dirty, clean up spills on the ground, clean the camper, wipe everything down. Like I use it to clean grease off the car. It's good for like a napkin while you're eating, or like a tablecloth on the table to keep things from spilling on it. There's just like no end of uses for this, and it does it better than any paper towel or cotton towel. Like cotton towels that are this size tend to take up 3 or 4 times as much space and take about that much time to dry. I also recommend that you get it with like a more coarse, like more cottony texture as opposed to the smooth ones, because they also work really well as a dish towel, not only to scrub things as a sponge, but to dry them off afterwards. Yeah. My next essential, Jetboil. I have had a lot of these like camp stoves, and the Jetboil is just the best, because when you're using a camp stove, The only thing that matters is how fast you can get the water to boil. But it also screws on top, so it's not just kind of sitting there on like those metal tips. Destiny uses to make coffee in the morning. I use it for all kinds of things, like, you know, making ramen, cooking, reheating things, steaming things. Sometimes if you need like hot water to add to your shower bucket. And if you buy one of these bigger Jetboil canisters, I think they're like $8 or $9 at REI, you get over 100 boils just in one of these. And I cannot overstate how important like having hot water is. It's just such a luxury. There's so many things you can cook in it, so many things you can use with it, and the fastest way to get it is with a Jetboil. Alright, so for my last essential, what I have here is an infrared thermometer. Basically all this does is it sends out a little beam just like a laser pointer, and whatever the laser is shooting at, it's going to tell you the temperature of that surface. So for example, my camper, which has been in the sun and it's black, this metal part is registering at 100 degrees. The ground right now is 71 degrees. My skin is 80 degrees. But this is also really useful for a camper because sometimes, depending on how cold or hot it is outside, the temperature on the walls of this camper could vary as much as 20 degrees from the actual temperature inside. So instead of having to mount like thermometers everywhere, all I gotta do is just use this, and I can tell the temperature of any surface at any given time. I can check, like for example, my puppy's kennel to see if it's too cold in there for him. So this is like a really cool, useful, and fun item to have. Now, we've been on the road for almost 4 months, and these are definitely the items that I consider like most important. If you like this, and for more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel, and thanks for watching.